Hey everyone, Jana here. Today I'm going to make your gluten-free life just a little bit easier. I'm going to share with you my 10 favorite gluten-free starches and flours. These starches and flours not only expand your flavor palette, but they also bring a lot more nutrients to your table, and I'm going to show you right now. Before we get started, I want to talk to you about storing your flours and starches. Because these flours and starches have many more nutrients in them, they do tend to spoil faster. I like to keep mine stored in glass jars, actually mason jars, and I kind of just write on the top what's in there. It makes them easily accessible, and putting them in the refrigerator prolongs their life. So let's get started. I'm going to hit you right out of the gate with what I like to call my workhorse flours. These are the flours that are usually the foundation for a lot of my recipes. Number one, almond flour. It's made from finely ground almonds. Now you might notice that it's not in a jar. And the reason it's not in a jar is because I use this almost every day. Almond flour is perfect for baked goods. It will yield a slightly denser product and it has a slight nutty flavor, but it really is delicious. It's also loaded with nutrients. It has protein, manganese, potassium, and vitamin E. And not to mention, one of my favorite aspects is a low glycemic index. Number two is gluten-free oat flour. Now, a lot of people get confused with oat flour. They think that oats actually have gluten in them, which they don't. But you do need to make sure when you purchase your oat flour that it is gluten-free, because they are subject frequently to cross-contamination in the process. Gluten-free oat flour is loaded with protein, fiber, iron, and calcium. I like to use it in conjunction with other flours because if you use it alone, it will tend to get kind of crumbly, but with other flours, it makes a nice, silky, smooth dish. Oat flour also has a nice, mild, nutty flavor. It really pairs well with almost any other flour. Workhorse flour number three is white rice flour. It's made from hulled rice. Now, because they hull it, it removes a lot of the nutrients, but it does still have minimal amounts. It has a little bit of protein, vitamin B6, and magnesium. It has a very natural and neutral taste, so it can pretty much be paired with anything. It's especially good in baked goods, breads, doughs that need to be rolled out, which is kind of difficult in the gluten-free world. Your white rice flour is perfect for that. Workhorse flour number four is sorghum flour. Sorghum flour is finely ground sorghum, which is a grain, a gluten-free grain, of course. It works great in baked goods and blends really well with the starchier flours. It has a neutral, slightly sweet, little earthy flavor to it. Sorghum flour is a nutrient powerhouse. It's high in fiber, protein, B vitamins, and antioxidants. The next three flours I like to call my enhancing flours. I add them for extra flavor and extra nutrition. Flour number five is brown rice flour. Now, how is that different from white rice flour? Well, for starters, it's brown. But more notably, it's made from unhulled rice. So therefore, it has a lot more nutrients. I like to pair it with other flours that are a little bit nutrient lacking, like the white rice flour. It also has sort of a strong, nutty flavor and a gritty texture. Brown rice flour is packed with protein, fiber, and iron. That brings us to flour number six, garbanzo bean flour. That's made from ground up chickpeas. Now, it has a very distinct flavor, so this flour is also going to need to be paired with other flours, in my opinion. Garbanzo bean flour does really well in pasta, pizza dough, crusts of any sort. I also like to make it a secret ingredient in brownies because I put a lot of cocoa powder in, so the flavor is really heavy on the chocolate and kind of masks that strong garbanzo bean flavor and just gives you a protein punch. By adding this little gem to your dishes, you'll be throwing in lots of extra protein, fiber, iron, and calcium. Next up, coconut flour. It's made from the ground up meat of coconut. Now you're going to want to pay extra attention when you use coconut flour. It's a little bit different. It's highly absorbent, so you'll likely have to add some more liquids. I like adding coconut flour to recipes to give it a little bit of a buttery flavor. Coconut flour also has a low glycemic index. It's high in fiber and protein, and not to mention healthy fats, which is a good thing. And next up, my favorite gluten-free starches. Let's get into these right now. Number 8 is tapioca flour, also known as tapioca starch. They're the same thing. They're made from the dried up cassava root. Tapioca flour is great for adding that doughy, stretchy component to cookies, breads, pastries. The one thing people always seem to have a gripe with gluten-free breads is that it doesn't have that chewy component. Tapioca flour is the answer to that. It really pairs nicely with rice flour too. Tapioca flour also has a very neutral flavor, so it really does play well in the sandbox with all the flours. That brings us to number 9, potato starch. In this case, very different from potato flour. Potato starch has all the protein and fiber removed, so it is pure starch. Potato starch makes a great thickening agent, and it has a neutral taste, so it can be added to pretty much anything. And last but not least, number 10, arrowroot. It's made from the root of a tropical plant. It has a neutral flavor, and it's great for binding. It has protein, iron, B6, and magnesium. Arrowroot is great mixed with all the other flours, especially oat flour, rice flour, anything that has a tendency to get crumbly. It keeps them from getting crumbly and binds them together. It brings a great texture. Arrowroot isn't temperature sensitive, so in addition to being great added to your baked goods, it's also a great way to thicken sauces on the stovetop. If you check out my recipes on Nutritionicity, you'll see how I use these flours and starches in many different ways and many different types of recipes. It may seem kind of overwhelming trying to cook with all these starches and flours, but once you get used to them, it's just as easy as pulling out that old sack of white flour. Not to mention all the flavor components and nutritional aspects that these flours offer that white flour doesn't. I hope this exploration of gluten-free flours and starches was helpful to you. If you want to see how I put them to work, check out my recipes on nutritionicity.com. Thanks so much for watching, and if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. There's more to come.